Let's return briefly back to the movie Shrek. Really to the video series that I did entitled Roots of the Sacred Feminine. Either in the first or the second video, I'd like you to recall what I was feeling I was seeing here in this movie advertisement for the cartoon Shrek. Since then, you should understand, if you haven't watched the series, you need to understand this video, that this character here of the donkey and the ogre is really fractured. You got to bring these two together as what would be referred as a synthesis. And we realize what the message really is that it's an onager. You should understand what an onager is. It's symbolically, it's a wild ass. Okay, and they're only able to enter into the cities after they've been brought to utter ruins. Now, with all that information, we've discovered that that's in reference to this judgment, this fire that's coming from the sky. It's in reference, of course, to breaking the seal and entering into our world. But we've seen a higher reflection that is in true reference to these Dans that are going to go to the moon. And that would be the true Dans, not these Reds that they're working on to produce, but the army of Joltu that comes from the north, which would be the region, the navel of the earth underneath the North Pole. This would be the descendancy, the real descendancy of these Nephilim, these ancient mighty ones. Now, as you should understand, they don't have red hair. They have white, platinum, blonde hair. And that's the true description that we find historically and scripturally that recounts that. My point here is that I felt by looking at this picture, as we see the ogre and the donkey really in reference to the onager, where their sights are truly being set here within the fractal. They're being set on the moon. This further goes on to support what Jesus Christ has described in John 10, what he's described in reference, I think that it's in the book of Luke, saying that, in reference to the scribes and Pharisees, basically the priest caste or the priest class of Israel, saying that he's casting out devils by Beelzebub. And he's like, well, if I cast out devils by Beelzebub, how do your sons cast these devils out? And he says, by these they shall be your judges. So in all reality, Jesus is saying, look, I'm casting out devils with the might, power, and glory of the Father in paradise. But yet you deny this and are seeking to adhere to the powers of devils, claiming that they're casting out devils, in which in all reality they're only supporting the devils. He's saying, so by these devils in which you're blind to, they should be the ones that judge you physically. And we know that that's the dance. We've already gone over all this before. I'm just kind of helping to refresh you for what we've talked about. So this would fulfill what Jacob has talked about in Genesis chapter 49, as he describes Dan shall judge Israel, or Dan shall judge his people as one of the tribes of Israel. We see this being fulfilled with what Jesus Christ has clarified. Okay, and this is in reference even to Luke, as he describes a certain widow that's pestering an unjust judge continually. And then this unjust judge eventually pays a visit to the widow, but not in stride for the widow's needs any longer, but for his own. The unjust judge regards neither God nor man, aka mankind, certainly not any supposed God-men that are basically in the way of locusts, who are in reality the God-men that these false Israelites have looked to for their truth, as the devils that Jesus Christ has said, now they shall judge you. I hope all that makes sense. So I saw something here with the Dans, the true Dans, looking to the moon. I mean, basically they're going to create the world in darkness, and then they're going to go light a candle on the dark side of the moon. I mean, that's pretty much like saying, hey, here we are. And I see that in the fractal. That's what the Spirit's showing me, that their sights are not set here to this world. They're set to the moon. And that's where this real destruction is going to take place, this real weeping and moaning and gnashing of teeth. That's going to take place with the false bride. It's going to take place with the 44. It's going to take place with the 33, the 333, and the whole mirror menagerie. It's taking place with them. And it's right there in your face. So I'm doing my best to contain my emotion that I'm trying to help murderers. I'm trying to help people that are not trying to help anybody else but themselves. And they want people dead. And I'm doing my best to contain my emotion and help you guys to see and live in the face of many people that see me as a devil and would like nothing more than to have me destroyed. Of course, I can't comment. They've done that. They're in fear of me. They've limited my view count. They've limited my video stream within the regular YouTube flow of things. I'm pretty much on the periphery and the outskirts now. Not too many people can find me. They've boosted the channel views up of the opposing channels, which are basically 99% of the channels on YouTube. And then they have dropped my views to make them look like nobody's watching, when in all reality, everybody's watching. Most importantly, these channels that I would consider the lost sheep, agents, and what have you. And then all of their students that they're teaching, they're all watching too. And then, of course, we know that the entire world is watching because they're making every attempt to let me know that they're watching me closely with the things that they do, say, and show. So what can I do other than show you what the Spirit wants to show you? So I felt that it was Shriek that the bride was really going to be saying as the Dans come upon them and spoil their riches, as it is quoted by Jesus Christ in his parables, that when a strong man is armed, he keepeth his goods in his palace. But when a stronger than he shall come upon them, where they at? The moon. Okay, and then they're lighting a candle right in the darkness. It's like saying, here we are. Well, the Dans got to eat. They're described as locusts, right? And then they don't regard God, or they don't regard man. They don't regard mankind. So guess who's coming to the moon? Guess who's coming to dinner? And it's going to make you shriek. And that was what I was feeling from this title. But I was wrong when I said that you could add it with two E's. Okay, in reality, it should be an IE. And I found out on a little hunch. I looked up fair in the Strong's Concordance. And you're not going to believe what is there. Just not going to believe it. First, I've looked it up in reference to the Hebrew because it's coming out of the Old Testament. So we're talking about Genesis chapter 6, verse 2. The reference to fair, everything that we described in being relationship to white, hoar, which also means white like hoar frost, white as snow. And then you get all of the connections here. Of course, fair. All right. Most pleasant, and then we begin to come up almost in a future path of travel, pleasure, precious, prosperity, ready. That's that remnant, right? That prosperous, precious, pleasurable remnant that has been tempted by that sweet, considering itself wealthy, as Jesus Christ described the church of Laodicea in Revelation chapter 3. And then finally, be well favored, and that's, of course, the most prestigious of the Idol Shepherd Club, right? The most well favored. Woe to the idol shepherds that shall leave with the flock. So that's the Hebrew, all right? I decided to go ahead and do what I did in the other video where I looked up the reference to the New Testament in the same number, just to see what would happen. So that was 2896, right? 2896. And get a load of this. Now go watch the other video, the first two videos where I'm trying to describe, I'm feeling this thing saying shriek. And that's what Israel was going to do. And as we described this Israel being this church of Laodicea, that was this black widow-like bride. Just give me a second. Audio's about to go out. Now, there's your 2896. Basically, that's the number that I was given for fair in Genesis chapter 6, verse 2. You saw the references, most precious, okay, most favorable, all of these things in relationship to the select, elect, sacred feminine, as we see now, this bride, all of it with prosperity, wealth, and riches, right? And then now, if it just couldn't be any more amazing, we see 2896 gives us to croak as a raven or scream, to call aloud, shriek, exclaim, entreat, cry. What does Jesus Christ describe? That there's going to be weeping and wailing and moaning and gnashing of teeth. In which I'm telling you, this is in real reference to those that are on the dark side of the moon that have brought these offenses, namely the millstone. And then Jesus says, well, it would be better to have a millstone hung around their neck, any of them that should hurt any of these little ones. There's your proof. There's your proof that God will uphold the word of his seers, his messengers, and his servants that are doing nothing but trying to help other people see so that they can have a fair chance at what the truth really is. That's incredible. As a raven croak, and then we know that this field of dreams is in reference to what? A cemetery. That's the potter's field, okay? Where the corn wheat, aka those supposed sealed with their third eye. Well, you know, in reality, it's those that are sealed with the living God. And then we see that Jesus Christ is predicting that these Dans, which you think you're sealed against, you're not. And that they are going to cause you guys to exclaim and to shriek and to call out and to exclaim, you know? It's incredible. Shriek. Now that's what the Spirit was revealing to me as I did the video. But I didn't know how to spell shriek. I just thought that you could add another E in there, but I said regardless of whether you do or not, you could see that word Shrek as shriek. And I absolutely, if you go back in the video, felt that that's what false Israel, this bride, aka Ishtar, bearing this remnant to the moon, was going to do because of these Dans, that they were going to shriek. And it even gives us as a raven, okay, which is now going to fulfill what we talked about with the Church of Laodicea, this black widow. Watch what happens next. Now remember, this is the Biblical Dictionary, the Holman Bible Dictionary. We looked up Laodicea. You should be able to see this covered in full in the video series, video 3 to the Monatomic Gold series. Very important because it gave us this fulfillment of what the Spirit revealed to me, that they were bringing water to this new Laodicea, this new capital of Babylon, the apostate kingdom, the ecclesiastical Babylon, Shinar on the dark side of the moon. They were bringing water there. We see from micro to macro, as it was in the beginning, so shall it be in the end. The major weakness of Laodicea the whole time has been the lack of water. Well, it would fulfill as the same on the moon at their location. They've been bringing water there. Even we've got the archways right here. It's all about this arc electricus, everything that we've talked about. It describes them in relationship to their material wealth and their dependence upon it. But more importantly, in reference to what we're talking about here, we see that they were wearing black garments, but yet seeking to claim themselves as the bride all dressed in white. But as you know, that would not be the case. Continually, their relationship now to Revelation chapter 3 with that lukewarm water of going from hot to cold, from cold to hot, which a high reflection of that, not the very highest, but a high reflection of that would be them going from to and fro, up and down, all over the earth, from the moon and back. Now here we go. It says, the charge that the Laodicean Christians were naked, blind, and in need of clothing and eye salve, Revelation chapter 3, verse 17 through 18, reflects the city's well-known school of ophthalmology, which is the study of the eye, right? Okay. And its fine garments of raven, black wool of local sheep. Raven black. And there you have your raven black Church of Laodicea, the false bride, everything in relationship to the sacred feminine, as we've learned thus far. And then there you go. About as amazing as you could possibly get to fulfill what I feel, what I've been saying, and how I say it, and what it's related to, right there. Only in the way in which the Spirit could do it. But so many people will still reject. And there's not much I can do, especially when they are in the shadow and afraid to come out into the light. They fear what I show. They fear everything about this channel. As you know, as I've said, they're trying to stop me from being able to reach people. Well, in them trying to stop me from being able to reach people, they've actually linked me up to the people that I need to reach. That's the lost sheep. I'll be back.